Guided Spirit Conversations. I'm your host, Marla Goldberg. This podcast has been created with you in mind to acquaint you with some of the most incredible metaphysicians and spiritual leaders from around the globe who have helped others change their lives. In this interactive hour, you will be offered insights and techniques to help you make a difference in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening platform. And here we go, on to the show. Hello. Welcome, and how are you doing? I must say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because I'm not quite sure where you're listening to this show, but wherever it is, I'm so grateful that you're here. As you know, this show was created for you to bring you the most incredible metaphysicians and thought leaders from across the globe. And I know today's show is not going to disappoint, because today we have the most amazing woman with this sparkling, clear energy. Oh my God, it's amazing. Anyway, Luzclara Camus is a remarkable, and she is remarkable, great grandmother. She is 82 years old. She is an Indian medicine woman and a global leader in healing and empowerment of the feminine. With over 40 years' experience, Luzclara has traveled the world, sharing her extensive knowledge and unique blend of ancestral and modern methods, which makes her a chakruna. Did I say that properly? Chakruna?
Yes, you did.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Chakaruna. Yes, very well.
Thank you. From forming this is so incredible, the first circle of the goddess in Chile during a military dictatorship to
Yes.
preparing thousands of women worldwide. Luzclara has dedicated her life to awakening the feminine power. She has a remarkable transformational journey and teachings. Transformative, and she has a profound impact of her work with sound therapy, and rituals. Welcome, Luzclara. I'm now stepping all over myself because I'm so excited. I got so excited about having you here.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you so much for inviting me. And
Um,
thank you for doing this beautiful work, for all your initiative and all the path you're following. So thank you so much for that.
it's my pleasure, because I get to bring amazing people like you to the audience, and who they may not necessarily either follow feminine, the feminine energy, the goddess energy, or know about you, but they're going to today.
Thank you.
So,
May I start with a little prayer?
yes, please.
I have my condor feather here. That's a condor, the animal spirit from the Andes Mountains where I am here. So, great spirit, Mother, Father, we give so much thanks, great Goddess, for this moment together here with Marla and with all these beautiful people that are listening to us and watching us today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. May I be a channel for the Goddess today, so the people that are here with us may listen in their hearts what they need to learn today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Amen. Okay, so Luzclara, you were born and raised in Chile, correct?
Yes.
So, were your family spiritual people? Were they in the spiritual arts as you are?
No.
And
No.
how did you start down your path?
Well, since I was a young woman, I was a rebel and the black sheep of the family. And, uh, it was not easy upbringing in that way. But my grandfather was my father figure, because my father died in an airplane crash when I was 7 years old. So
Oh,
my grandfather was, and he was a socialist and a senator and a minister in the government, and he was an atheist. So I didn't come from there, but
wow.
on the other side, he had a lot of love for nature, and he really passed me that. So
Yes.
that is from what I get from my grandfather. And it's much later in life that I come into the spirit. First, um, I, there was a dictatorship, um, a military coup here in my country in 73, where
Okay.
They derrocate the president, Salvador Allende, and installed a military dictatorship for 30 years. So during the military dictatorship, lots of us had to leave the country for our lives, and you know, because there was so much killing and so much, horror going on.
Yes.
And so I had to leave the country with my 3 children, and I was married to a North American man in that moment.
Oh.
I've had 2 North American husbands. That's why I can speak English well too.
You do speak English very well.
Thank you. So uh, the parents invite us, I mean, not invite us, they send us the tickets to go on to the States. So we left for the States and went to live in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes.
First, we arrived to Indiana, where my husband's parents lived, in Fairmount, Indiana, out there, and I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it. It was
Too
too
flat.
too. Not only that, like I would say, they would say, "Where are you from?" I say, "Chile." Oh, chile con carne. They will say. So it was just too much for me. So we moved to Boston, and there I find, other people who understood what was going on, et cetera, et cetera. And I got very much involved in organizing groups and raising money, et cetera, and raising consciousness about what was happening here in my country with a military dictatorship, supported by the U.S. government, of course.
Mm.
So, so it was, a lot of contradiction there. There I was, and my country was being, slaughtered. Meanwhile. So anyway, I spent 9 years there, and I got very, very much involved, not only with the Chilean. Against
Embassy?
Chilean dictatorship, but also, with the Puerto Rican Socialist Party. I got involved with the Black Panthers, you name it. I just got involved and working a lot in the jails and working with them, with the Puerto Ricans and the Black people, and Dominicans. So I got uh, very submerged into that world, and until I got very sick, and the doctors couldn't find out what was happening. So finally, one of my friends, my political friends, says to me, we went to this clinic, this acupuncture clinic in the Bronx in New York. And there is a doctor, a white doctor, who is treating heroin addiction at the Black population and Latin population. And he is a master on acupuncture. Why don't you go and see him? So I went, and he treated me. And I remember that night, I was so happy, no pain. It was a horrible pain back here in the kidneys.
Okay.
And that night, I was dancing salsa in the salsotecas there in New York until 5 o'clock in the morning. So happy, no pain. I go back to Boston and find an acupuncturist, and he started treating me. And in the Chinese medicine, every organ has an emotion.
Yes.
So my emotion was that had settled in my kidneys was fear. All the fear I had to go through in order to leave my country and all the things that I saw, et cetera, et cetera. So I had fear in my kidneys, and those were the pains. So that's why the normal doctors couldn't find it, the pain, because it wouldn't show, you know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway, I got treated and the pain went away, and the fear went away. And so they my acupuncturist doctor started saying, why don't you go and work and study in the acupuncture school? And I said, oh, what am I going to do in acupuncture school? I don't know anything about healing. He insisted a lot to come and meet his teacher, Chinese little man, beautiful little man, Dr. So. So I went to meet him. And then I said, when I was coming back home, I remember that when I was a little girl, they called me the little saint hands because I will heal with my hands to
Hmm.
all, get away the headaches and pains of all the women in the family. So I said, well, maybe I have the hands for healing. So I went to acupuncture school. And I've always been very curious. And I started seeing that in acupuncture school, the people were meditating, they were doing different kind of circles and healing circles, etc., etc. So I got involved. And in one of those meditation groups, I received spirit. And once you receive spirit, there's no way back.
Right.
So it was very interesting. And then I realized that what the problem with me was that I had a big contradiction inside. I was fighting for peace. That was
Yes.
what was happening. So
Fighting for peace. Yes.
yeah,
The
fighting for
fighting
peace.
part. I'm underlining fighting. You're in the
Yes,
air.
it was fighting for peace. So imagine, it was a big contradiction inside of me. So um, I decided to change that. So slowly, slowly, I started retreating from the whole political scene and got more and more involved in the spiritual and started studying. I went to microbiotic school. I studied many, many things, and
Yes.
there. So when I was for 9 years there, I could apply for U.S. passport, U.S. citizenship, because I was married to North American. So I waited for that, and I got my U.S. passport and came back home as a U.S. citizen under dictatorship. I couldn't come with my name and as me. I had, so I came in as a U.S. citizenship. I remember arriving at the police there at the entrance in Chile, and they will ask me questions, and I will say, "No comprendo, no comprendo." So it was very scary, but I did get in. And so I went and lived underground for 5 years here in Chile. And I went back into the south of Chile, where I left from where I left. We had a piece of land there, and we had started the first hippie community here in Chile with my husband. So I went back there, and everything was destroyed. They had ransacked and burned everything, looking for arms. What we never had arms, I never believed in arms. Anyway, I started all over again, and it was it was there. It was there. And so I decided to start a little clinic, a free clinic for all the Mapuche population. The Mapuche are the indigenous people, the native people of the south of Chile.
Okay.
And there was no medical assistance for them at all, or for the peasants. So I started this free little clinic, and they would bring me chickens and eggs, and I started using everything that I had been learning for all those years. So there I started, I would say, my healing path, you know,
Yes.
working with the people. So that lasted for 5 years. And in between there, uh, I started dreaming of the shamans of the Mapuche people are called machis. And I started dreaming with the matches, and the matches telling me that I had the spirit in my hands, that I was a healer, and things like that. And so I met the matches afterwards, and everything that they had said to me in the dreams, it happened in one to one.
Wow.
So it was very, very powerful for me, because it was a big confirmation.
Yes.
So very soon I started receiving. Oh, and when I was in the States also, I studied with Starhawk, with Vicky Noble, with all the big feminists in those years from California.
Okay. Was Gloria Steinem in that? With the
Yes, yes, all of them. And also, I went and spent some time in a kind of a commune that this Chippewa man, San Bear, had in those days. And so I spent some time there. And I would say that San Bear was my first native teacher. and he put me in contact with the elements, and he explained me so many things. So I always honor his memory because it was very important for me.
Huge. I mean, he
Someday,
was, yeah, he
yeah,
was the one who truly, I mean, though you've learned a lot, but he was like your first mentor.
yes, yes, yes. So then, I had my Machi mentor, and I was, in my meditation, I kept on receiving that I had to come to Santiago, that's Chile
Yeah.
capital, um, to work with the women. And I kept on saying, well, I answered back and I said, my goddess, I cannot live in the city. I haven't lived in the city for many, many years. I cannot live in the city. If you find me a place near the mountains where it will be near Santiago, I'll go. Anyway, that happened. I find that this beautiful place that I just show you here in the mountains, in the Andes, at the feet of the Andes, and it's only about hour and a half from Santiago, so it's near. So we moved here and started a whole new life. And I start going, still the dictatorship is still on. I start going into Santiago, finding women that I could start this work with. And I find one, and then I find two, and then we were four. And I will start going down every Friday. I will go down to Santiago and get together with the women.
And then before we go any further, I just have a
Yes,
quick question. I want to back up a little bit because when was it that was it working with the women in the U.S., the feminists, talking about bringing then the feminine construct to you, the understanding of what goes on and what it means?
yes,
Okay, I wanted to clarify that for the listening audiences because we're jumping into your first group, and I wanted to get an understanding of, for them and myself, when you picked up on the passion for the feminine.
yes. It was then I started, first I got informed. I didn't have any information on all of that. I was completely ignorant about it.
Yes.
So they were the ones who opened up my mind and my heart to the goddess, you know, the
Yeah.
US, the sisters in the United States. Yes.
Lovely. And so now let's move back forward. You're meeting one person, two people, four people, and you're starting to.
Starting to start the circles, the feminine circles here in Chile. Nobody's ever heard here in Chile of the goddess circles. So I started this. And we will get together, uh, and we'll have to stay all night because there's curfew. So we will have to stay all night long. We couldn't go out to the streets after 7 o'clock in the evening, or six
Oh,
o'clock, 7 o'clock, I think it was. So, uh, and then we start doing a lot of healing. It was so many women who had been in the jails of the dictatorship, raped by hundreds of men, militaries, and torture, and or they had the children or companions killed. So there was a lot of pain. It
yeah.
was so much pain. And so we did a lot of healing. And so these circles became very famous, And suddenly we were 100 women in these little spaces,
Wow.
um, doing the healings. And it was very, very emotional and very healing, very, very powerful. And this was 1987 started. And 1989, um, I received a visit of a woman who tells me that the women leaders, political leaders of the left here in Chile, wanted to talk to me. And I say to myself, this is strange because I'm not involved in politics. I'm a revolutionary. I'll die a revolutionary, but not in that way.
Right.
So so I went, and they said to me, excuse me, they said, we know you're a witch, they said to me. And I said, yes, I'm a good witch. And then they said, you do rituals. And I said, yes. And they said, well, March 8th, International Women's Day is coming, and we don't want to go out in the streets because they take us in prison and they torture us, etc., etc. So we want to do a ritual, what we don't know how to do that. Will you teach us? And I said, of course, that will be my honor. So I showed them what, I did. We did a demonstration with some of my sisters. We did a demonstration of what a ritual was, and they liked it. And so March 8th, 1989, we called on all the women of Chile to come to this, we call it a festival because we couldn't, you know,
Right.
and and it was mouth to mouth. The intention was that the dictator would live without blood, and we rented a stadium that had been a stadium of the dictatorship where there
Oh,
had been jails and torture camp, concentration camp of the dictatorship, and we cleansed it with the smudges and the drums and the singing, and we cleansed the stadium, and 25,000 women came.
oh my goodness.
Yes. And for a whole day, we did ritual and we pray that the dictator will leave. A few months later, he did something, I don't know what it was, because he was a puppet of the US government. The US government tells him, you have to call on a plebiscite and have the people vote yes or no. Of course, we all voted no, so he had to leave. And so he left without blood, without revolution. Yes.
It's
So,
so beautiful. The
yes.
fact that your group of 25,000 strong
Yes.
together had a non-violent exit to the dictator, because how many times is there usually so much
Yes.
savagery that
Yes.
happens?
Bloodshed. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So, in that, with that experience in my life, I've gained so much confidence that when the women we come together to pray, we can move dictatorships and mountains, I say always.
Absolutely. Well, you raise the consciousness, you raise the energy, and when you have that many raising, I
Yes.
mean, it's got to make a change. It has to do what it's meant to do.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
powerful.
So,
So this is your first circle. There was something I was going to ask you about your circle and where you're going, because, or from that point, because that must have just set a
a
fire
precedent. A
on your,
precedent. Yes.
well, a precedent for what you did, but a fire to the word of mouth
Yes. Yes.
around you.
Yes. Yes. So, uh, I since then I've never stopped. Here I am, at 82, still doing my groups and my circles and my healing work with the women. And I've traveled much all over Europe and the States, taking my medicine there, um, working mostly with the women, but sometimes the men come too.
I love to
And
hear that, because men have feminine energy too.
exactly, that's what I was going to say. Yes, yes. It's just except that sometimes, many times, I open up and they come 25 women and two men or
Hmm.
one man,
Yeah.
you know.
And how brave is that individual
Yes,
to step
yes,
into to a double feminine hit?
yes,
The physical feminine and then the energetic feminine.
exactly, exactly. And sometimes I do work with the women for a few days, and at the end we bring in the men.
I love
Uh,
that.
yes. So after because when we get together among women, you know how it is, we can open up more. Sometimes the man comes in and inhibits the woman in some ways of talking about rape, for example, or abortions, or things like that, that we need to talk about among the women.
Yes, but I think I like the idea of the men hearing it. It makes them uncomfortable because they're not the ones getting raped. They're not the ones having children or getting impregnated at a time that is not for them how do I say this? Because it is their time, they're pregnant, but how they deal with it is their choice based on where their life is. And men get uncomfortable because they're so it's so alien to them. Like if
Yes.
they knew what it was like to give birth to a child, I would bet there would be less children in the world because they don't deal with pain very well for the most part.
Definitely, yes. Definitely, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So we usually, when it's so intimate like that, like when we do rituals for rape, for example, and we're all in the waters, and we are naked there in the wild, in the waters, praying and crying and letting go. The man cannot be there.
No.
It needs to be among women. See what I
Yes.
mean? So
Yes.
so it's not that we are against the men or we don't want to bring the men in. It's just that there are instants, there are times for everything.
Yes.
So that's what it is.
It's so
And
true.
yes, so that's and as I said, I've been keep keep going on this with this work for many years, more than 40 years now, and I'm not traveling as much now. I stopped traveling to Europe, especially. Mostly I travel around the Americas here now,
Yeah.
and yes, so
So let's
and
talk
receive
about
groups here.
I'm
Hmm?
sorry. I wanted to talk about the feminine energy because I wanted to, and the goddess energy. I would like you to share what that means, other than the little snippets we talked about, in a little bit more detail for the listeners who are not aware of what is feminine energy, what
Okay,
is goddess energy, and why is it so important to have your energy healed so you can come out in the world in a different way.
okay. So first of all, I will say I want to talk about the women first.
Yes.
First, I'm going to say that we are all born wild.
Yes.
Okay, and as we start growing up, we have to be senoritas, and we have to, comply to this, comply to that, and the the box starts getting smaller and
Yes.
smaller all the time,
Yes.
and we lose contact with Mother Earth, with nature, and with our own um, wild self,
Yeah.
authentic wild self. We lose contact, and um, and then we become um, we become dead, inside, and we start having so many problems, and we do so many wrong decisions, we make so many wrong decisions, etc. And when we start awakening the goddess within us, we start first of all admitting who we are, loving ourselves by who we are, uh, honoring our ancestral lineage, where we come from, um, honoring the women that had come before us, and teach us and help us to 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 grow and to connect and to understand. You know, um, we start developing our intuition. You know,
Hmm.
our connection to the heart, our connection to the womb, connecting the womb and the heart. All those things that are so necessary to survive in this moment in the planet. Because if we as human beings don't connect with nature as we have done so far, this earth is not going to survive. I
Right.
mean, we really need to connect. We really need to be one with nature, with Mother Earth now, to make the changes that is needed.
How do we connect?
Connecting, first of all, we need to first connect with our intuition to Mother Earth. uh, Spend more time in nature. Start learning uh, what nature is. Spending time honoring, seeing that nature is alive, that the stones are alive, that the trees are alive, that the plants are alive. Thanking, giving thanks for everything that we have. It's like when I've walked all these mountains for many years. Every time I come to the bottom of the mountain, I'm going to go up. I'll do a little offering of tobacco or whatever I have, and ask permission to go and, into the house of the mountain is their territory, and to go into this territory, connecting, honoring. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Honoring nature. Um, so we can start listening what nature is saying, what is telling us. Um, Developing this feeling of being one with the mother. So we know what's going to happen. It's like the other day, Sunday, it was Sunday. I was invited across the river here to the animal shelter. I was invited to there, and in the morning I woke up and I have a wood stove. And I said to myself, oh, I have to put the wood stove off. A voice inside of me says, you have to put the stove off because a big temblor is coming.
A big what? I'm sorry.
Temblor.
Oh, like earthquake?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I was on the other side and, a big one, 5.7. For us,
Wow.
5.7 is not too much because we are used to 8, when the big earthquakes. But still, it's a big movement. And so there I am, like I feel before things happen, you feel them, you start feeling them. Um, Here in the mountains, for example, when there's a lot of rain, um, the the stones come down and
Yeah.
the earth comes down, and we have, I don't know how you call them in English, but all of this mud comes
Slides.
down, slides,
Yes.
slides, and so it's like now, like I know what slides are going to come, and then how can I explain this? Is where you need to be in order to survive
Right.
when you are connected to the earth. And you can start by little things like, for example, I plant my little garden, okay? Um, when I plant my seeds, I put them in my mouth first. So they will have my saliva. And so they will have my imprint. Those plants that are going to grow,
Yes.
they're going to give me what I need because they have my imprint. When I when I pick them up, I give so much thanks. I make a little altar in my little garden to thank the plants, the spirits of the plants that feed me. When I go on and take a piece of healing herbs, I always thank them. I ask permission and thank them. It's starting that connection. It's little by
Yes.
little, walking barefoot on the earth and feeling the earth and letting go of all your pains and sorrows to the Mother Earth to be transformed. I mean, the simple things. There's nothing we have to go and study, high up there in the mountains or go in the caves in the Himalayas. No, the simple things that we can do to make that change for us to connect to Mother Earth. So then we're going to know, because much more earthquakes are going to come, much more floods are going to come. We know that the change is here,
Do
that we
you
can
feel,
stop.
I'm sorry to interrupt, when
Yes.
we have earthquakes and floods and all of this new weather and this very, it seems very angry. Do you feel that when we have earthquakes or floods or torrential rainfalls or horrendous snowfalls, that it's Mother Nature sort of sharing her displeasure with how she's being treated?
Um, I will say, yeah, one part you could say that. The other part that it feels to me is that she is cleansing. She's
Okay.
cleansing. It's like, I've heard this before, it's like a dog shaking the fleas. out.
Okay. I was going to say, if we're talking about the feminine, a woman having her menses. Yeah.
Yes,
Cleansing,
cleansing, exactly.
shedding and cleansing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
And so that is happening a lot. And one of the ways I've taught the women, and these I receive from my North American um, indigenous sisters, uh, they work with the blood, with the menstrual blood, the lunar blood, as we call it, you know.
okay. Yes.
And so they taught me to offer my lunar blood every month to Mother Earth, and connect with her. And
And would that be done with while you're menstruating? You're sitting on the earth bare bottomed and allowing
yes, yes,
the lunar blood to go into the earth.
yes,
Okay.
yes, very powerful. Yeah, you squat there and you let it go. Or if you're living in an apartment, you can put it in a little jar and then take it out in the park and put it under the tree, for example, or something like that.
Okay.
Yes, that has been big part of my work, the menstrual blood, the lunar blood, teaching the women to connect to Mother Earth that way. And I will tell you a little story. Um, it's so powerful, that ritual, and that Mother Earth will give you back whatever you ask. And I tell you, not one or three or four, but many women have come to me and say, the doctors told me I will never have a baby. And I said, don't listen. Start offering your blood to the mother and ask for babies. And I have many, what do you call, when
Stories, testimonials.
goddess, no, I'm a goddess mother to many children that have been born after the women ask for them, offer the blood and ask for the baby. Yes,
It's beautiful. It's foreign, in the U.S. But I think that I had read a book about somebody doing that. They were working with some shamans, and they had her do that, and onward. And I can't remember which person it was, but it was a fascinating story for me. I was like, wow,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. The North American indigenous women, they use the moon lodge, they call it. It's the teepee, and the women, they retreat for 5 days. Yes,
Oh,
that's where I learned the whole thing. I was there in the States.
wow,
Oh, yes.
very
And
cool.
so they retreat for 5 days and they rest, and they listen to the grandmother's stories, and the men and the other women take care of their kids and whatever has got to be done. So after those 5 days of resting and letting go, because meanwhile we're menstruating, we're letting go emotionally, physically, in many ways, and resting and going back to ourselves. Because as women, we have 100 things we do at the same time. We're
Yes.
mothers, we're cooks, we're, millions,
Cleaners, we are.
especially indigenous women, they did so many things. So they're exhausted, So you rest for 5 days and then they come back with all the energies, to do whatever needs to be done. So yeah, that's where I learned the whole thing.
It
The
sounds
whole,
like a beautiful ritual. It truly does.
it is very powerful.
I mean, it's
Very,
it's, it's something I won't experience in this life because those ships have sailed. But I'm thinking that in future lives, I might want
yes,
to bring that in.
yes. Actually, together with some Mexican sisters, 2 years ago, we did a ritual where we will get together. We got together 10,000 women every new moon, at the first ray of sun in anywhere you were in the world. They will offer the blood to the mother, and they will put it away if they didn't have it. It was not the time. They will put it away and offer the blood to the mother. And we were doing in different months healings of different aspects of the earth.
Ah,
10,000 women, we were doing that.
do-
And the grandmothers, we will give a little piece of our hair.
Lovely. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, do you ever do retreats for older women?
Yes,
The seniors, so to
yes,
speak,
yes,
the
yes,
elders. I'll put it
yes,
as elders,
yes. The wise women, the
the
wise.
wise women. Yes.
Sweden. Yes, actually, I've been calling now. I just put out in my Facebook, my Instagram, calling the women to that I can help them to grow old happily, in peace and in beauty.
And with vitality, I
Um,
have to say, vitality has to be a part of that
Of
because
course,
that's part
of
of aging
course,
gracefully. And
of
I have to
course.
tell you, if for those who are listening and not watching the video, if you see Luz Clara, you would think she was probably in her early 60s. You would never think that she was 82 years old. You look
Thank you.
phenomenal. You radiate. I mean, truly, you sparkle.
Thank you. And I've never done anything to my face. I don't dye my hair, you know.
No, but your hair is beautiful.
Yeah.
And
So
actually, I was thinking to myself, for 82 years old, you've got so much dark hair still.
yes,
It's
yes.
not all white, and it's still dark, and it's beautiful.
I'm waiting for it to go all white. I want it all white.
It's something
Waiting.
it's your rite of passage, right? And doing that. Now, you offer a lot of online sessions or classes and workshops.
Yes, yes. I'm doing a lot of work online now. I've got used to it finally. I didn't like it at the beginning. And yes, I do a lot of online. I even have some women from China, younger women from China, who that has been very interesting for me because they're letting me know what's going on with the women's movement in China. And so,
Interesting.
very interesting from Alaska, from everywhere, from Europe, everywhere. And sometimes they come here to do trainings with me for 5 days or 8 days. And it's, individual ones and also groups. And I also bring, like in October now, I'm bringing a grandmother from Guatemala, a Mayan
Oh,
grandmother from
lovely.
Guatemala. And so I organize the groups here for them to learn about the Mayan cosmovision. I feel it's very important now that we learn from the native people
Yes.
because they have survived so much and they have so much knowledge about the earth that we don't have. So we need to learn about that knowledge, you know, to,
Yes. And be
and they are
open
willing
to
to
include
share
it
it.
into our lives.
Yes, exactly.
Because you can learn, but not necessarily be open to doing it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. The times are now, the whole thing can shake any moment. So, we
exactly.
don't know. We don't know. It's just,
You, I say tomorrow's not promised.
no.
Live your best today
Yes.
because tomorrow's not promised.
Yes.
But you know what? I want to take a break because it's our charity shout out time. So this is the time when my guests get to talk about their charities, what's near and dear to their house. You have a beautiful, beautiful charity. I'm not even going to say it because I know I will mutilate the pronunciation. So I'm going to let you say what it is and why you're so passionate about it and how people can help. And by the way, everyone, all of Luzclara's information, her website, her social media platforms, everything is going to be on our blog. So please check that out so you can then check out Luzclara Camus in more detail. So let's go
Thank
to
you.
you're welcome. Let's go to the charity.
Yes. Here in the mountains where I live across the river, there is a huge family. There are 11 children, and they own a lot of the land here. And the the older women that my age started many years ago a shelter for animals that were hurt, like like the little condors or pumas or different animals, all kind of birds and foxes. And so the children of her that are now about maybe 30 years old, they took over these and they have started an incredible shelter for the animals, and with so much love. Every corner is an altar. They had prepared the most beautiful places for the animals to recuperate, and the ones that and then once they recuperate, then they let them go free again in the wild. And the ones that cannot recuperate, like for example they don't have an eye or things like that, then they have made places, homes for them there that they can live in not of course as free as they are in nature, but the best that is
But
possible.
safe
Yes,
and
not only
nurtured and
safe but
loving.
beautiful too.
Yeah.
Beautiful and with a lot of space and with a lot of trees and a lot of plants and a lot of flowers. It's so beautiful. Sunday was the inauguration. I went there. I was crying. I was crying to see so much devotion from these young, people. So much devotion, so much love in their hearts for the animals. And yesterday, one of the ministers of agriculture or something like that came to the to see the shelter, and she was saying, "When did you get to see eye to eye on a what's this? Uh, what do you call this animal? The ones that's owl, an owl. It's this
Yeah.
big owl. He says, I've never looked at eye to eye with an owl. I've never looked eye to eye with a fox. She was saying.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
many people don't, especially if you live in the big cities.
Yes. Right.
I was raised in a big city. I was raised in Chicago, Illinois,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and in the city. And so I don't know a lot about nature. And I'll tell you just a really quick funny story. I have a little puppy. She's 6 months old, and
Oh,
she was not feeling well. And she woke me up. She wanted me to take her out. So I go in the back, and there's this weird sound. And it sounded like whatever animal it was, that their voice was hoarse, like when you have a sore throat. And it kept making the sound over and over again. And it freaked my little girl out. Her name is Haniel, after the archangel. And Haniel just freaked out. So it's like, okay, I'll take you in the front. And I'm not even going to tell you the rest of the morning, but because she wouldn't go, she wouldn't take care of her business because she was still so afraid from the sound,
yeah.
even though it was in the distance. So again, I'm not a nature girl, but I was telling my husband. He goes, "Well, maybe it was a fox." I said, "Do they make sounds?" I had no idea, so I looked it up on Google. It was a fox barking and barking and barking and barking, and it's something I had never ever heard before, and I was just like, "Oh, that's amazing." You
Yeah. Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, most people don't get that opportunity.
I know. I know. So, and this shelter, then the schools can go and they take the kids, and it's 2.5 hours of a tour, and they explain you about every animal and the ways of each animal, and the kids, they have such a fantastic time, such
How
a
how
fantastic
wonderful!
time.
And how can people help?
Well, the donations will be the best thing, because these girls, these young women, they're putting all the money, they have jobs, and they put all the money they have into this. So they need economic help. That will be fantastic.
Perfect.
Anything, from $1 on is fantastic. Anything donation, that will be great.
So
So I think
true.
I sent you the
Yes,
information about that.
and on here, I don't think you can see it, but on here is a QR code where they can donate. So
Thank
if
you.
you're watching the video, you can check the QR code out. If they're not watching the video, check out the blog, because the website will be in there where you can go on, check out this sanctuary. I'll call it a sanctuary. Uh,
Santuarios, yes. Santuario de la Naturaleza, it's called.
yeah,
Santuario de la Naturaleza, yeah.
and so that you can then read about what they do and help in any way you can. There's so many amazing charities out there, and they all need resources. This
Yes,
is one of those that, what would happen to these animals if they weren't helped? They
yes,
would be suffering, and
yes.
we as humans suffer often. We don't necessarily allow our animals to suffer like us, and we can
Mhm.
help them avoid it. So it's a beautiful good deed
Service,
you can do, a
service, yes.
service.
A
Yes,
service, yes, yes, definitely, yes,
absolutely. So
yes.
thank you. So yeah, any way you can help, please do. All
Thank you
right.
so much, yes.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. And I hope you get a lot of support from a lot of money coming into you to help.
Thanks, thanks.
So I'm trying to think where I want to go. We only have a couple of more minutes before I let you go on your own
Okay.
and share things. But could you share some ancient methods of ritual and magic that you utilize in your work?
Oh, well, I use a lot of sound. I use my drum a lot. Well, there's so many different rituals. Um, I will suggest people start connecting with the seasons of time and with the moons, for example. Do rituals on the new moon.
Yes.
Even just light a candle, sit in front of the candle, put an intention in your heart that because it's the new moon, you're going to sow something in your life, an intention that you want to happen in your life, for example. And in the full moon, you celebrate. You celebrate that what you had sown the seed that you have put, it's growing, or it's blooming. um, Connect with the seasons, like spring and autumn and winter. Each season has its own spirit, its own uh, uh, presence, so connect with that, and follow follow the times. Like in winter, for example, we come in. In winter now. We're coming in. We do more things inside,
Yes.
and we go inside ourselves. Like, for example, now in winter, I've started work on writing for healing and connecting with my deepest feelings or my deepest hurts that I've had in my life, so I can write to them and bring them out. In summer, I won't do that. In summer, I'm going to be, in nature, walking in, going out, being out there in the gardens, etc., etc. So each each season has its own spirit, and to follow that, then we start becoming more close to nature, to how it is. We merge with nature more.
I love that. Yeah, I would say the word blend, but merging, blending, it all works together. We
Yes,
we become one with nature.
yes. And the other thing I will suggest also, and it's something that I do all the time, is giving thanks. It's
Yes.
so important to give thanks and ask permission. And like everywhere I go, I give thanks and I ask permission. For example, I'm going to go into the little town that's closer to me here, about 15 minutes. Before I enter the village, I say, I ask permission to the spirits guides of the place. And I give thanks for allowing myself to go there. And I ask that I find a parking place, that I'll find all the things that I need. And I go in there and everything's fantastic, everything's good. And then I go into the store, and there is the cashier, lady. And then I look at her eyes and I say, what a beautiful eyes you have. Anything
Yes.
anything to start making that connection of of being thankful for whatever happens to you, being there for in little ways, for
Yes.
life, for life, you know
I love that. I absolutely do because it's so true. And
yes,
I always do my gratitude. I have to admit sometimes I forget to ask for the permission. So now I have to incorporate the permission and the gratitude
yes,
together. So thank
yes.
you for the reminder for me.
Thank you for listening. Yes.
So, Luz Clara, we only have a few minutes before we close the show. What have I not asked you about? What would you like to talk about for the listening audience that I haven't brought up thus far?
Oh, I think you've brought up a lot. I will my last my last words will be happy now. Be happy now. It's so important. Not Don't postpone anything. uh, it's like so many times we will postpone. I'm not going to wear this dress because it's so beautiful. I'm going to wear it when it's something blah blah blah. No, wear it today, because we don't know if we're going to have it tomorrow. We don't know.
Right.
So enjoy the moment to its maximum. You know, cook for yourself the most delicious meal every day. Don't wait for a Sunday or when you have visits coming. Every day, take care of yourself like it's the last day of your life. Live like that, and then you'll embrace life completely. Yeah.
Those are such wise, wise words because many of us, and I'm just as guilty, we put things off instead of
Yes.
just embracing them in the
Yes.
moment, in the
Yes.
day.
Yes.
Yeah. But I
So
do.
important. So important to live the moment, and grateful in the moment, and happy in the moment, and give the best you can in the moment. Yes. And every morning when you wake up, just offer to say, great spirit or God, however you want to call it, make me a tool of your service. May I be in service for all today. And it can be a phone call to somebody who needs it. It can be a smile to somebody who's sad in the street. Anything is to be in service. Yes.
I love that. It's so true. And those are the best words that we can end the show on. It's so wise,
And simple, that we
simple,
can all do.
and
Yes,
filled with love. I feel the
yes,
love, more
yes,
importantly.
yes.
It's just so powerful. Luzclara, thank you so much for your time and your insights and your wisdom. So grateful. I would love to have you back again and we could share more. I just feel like we just didn't even hit the tip of the iceberg with the knowledge and information you can share to
Anytime.
help open up the goddess wisdom in everyone, male and
Thank you.
female. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And many blessings to your path, my dear.
thank you,
Thank you
and to you
for
back.
all your service.
Oh,
And I'll be happy to come back anytime.
thank you. You're such a love. I so appreciate you. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you to everybody too.
Oh,
We
it's
wait for you here in Chile.
which is it's supposed to be a beautiful country. I'd love to
Yes,
go and see it.
beautiful country. Yes.
So you never know. I may end up there one day calling you up saying, Miss Clara, here I am. Or I'm
You're
coming to
welcome.
town.
Welcome. Welcome to my house here in the mountains.
Thank you so much. So grateful. I want to thank Bridget, my right hand, my left hand,
Yes.
each
Thank
and
you,
every
Bridget.
day. And
Yes.
a belated happy birthday to you.
Thank
So
you.
Bridget's birthday was Tuesday, and I'm sorry to say Monday night she was
Oh,
rear-ended in a car accident. So
oh,
I am sending you healing love and prayers so that you recover quickly. I want to thank you, the listening audience, for taking time out of your day, out of your life to be a part of the show. I do this for you, and what I receive back from you is so gratifying. And so it fills my heart with love, and I well up with tears out of joy because of what I receive from you. So thank you so much for the exchange. Um, if you like the show, please like it, subscribe to it, and I'd love to hear words of review. You know what you think of the show, and if there's anybody special you'd like to have on that I haven't had on yet. And I will do my darndest to get that individual on the show to be able to share their wisdom with you as well. Next week, Pauline Rafaela. She is a doctor of metaphysics and master energy healer. She's a counselor and a teacher, and her life work is to assist in the evolution of humanity with the help of the many benevolent galactic races, angels, and master guides. So please tune in next week with Pauline Rafaela. Um, it's summertime. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Please remember to hydrate. Please be careful. And please watch out what are you doing. And please, please, please don't do some of these TikTok things that are going to put you in harm's way.
hmm,
You're here to live a beautiful divine life. So
hmm.
we'd like you to live it healthy in a very healthy way as much as possible. Um, okay. As I leave you, as always, I send you love, blessings, and gratitude. Know how grateful I am that you're in my life in whatever capacity you're in it. For not only are you my student, you are my teacher. And not only am I a teacher, I am a student. And I'm going to say these three words to you that I always say. I say them because I mean them. I love you. You are loved. You are loved not just by me, not just by your family and friends, but you have a plethora of beings on the other side of the veil who are your biggest cheerleaders, who want to see you succeed, who want to see you happy and prosperous and joyful. Here's the ticket. They don't have the free will to just intervene in your life because they see you're struggling. You have to ask for what it is you need, want, and desire, and then be open for the way it comes into you, because it's not necessarily a phone call saying, okay, silly, you need to do this. No, it doesn't come in this way. So it could be a passage in a book, a poem, a musical, something you hear in music, or you overhear a conversation, whatever it might be. Just be open to it and bring it into your life. I will see you next week. Stay well. Have the most incredible week and take care. Bye for now.